let's get into it with the main event. Sean Strickland coming in at minus 135 again against Abus Magomedov, who's sitting at plus 135. Over under 3.5 rounds. Minus 133 for the over, plus 133 for the under. As always, odds are presented by BetOpenly. 1% juice, you're eliminating the house. So all of your bets are going to go against another bettor out there. You're not going against the house. So that's why you get these beautiful odds. As you see, 32 years of age for both fighters. Abus Magomedov, 4-1 in his last 5. Sean Strickland, 3-2, coming off the win to Nasruddin Imavov, which he took on short notice. That was at 205. Now he's going to have to cut down to 185 once again. Not a fun cut for him. But he's coming in here against Abus Magomedov, who has one fight in the UFC, and he's already getting a main event of a fight night and a ranked opponent. His only win against Dustin Stoltzfus took him 19 seconds with the front kick to the mouth and then punched him out with a good uppercut and a couple follow-up shots. So a good first performance, but he's getting a big step up in competition here. He's 3-1-1 in the PFL and lost in the PFL championship to Lewis Taylor. Got knocked out in 33 seconds. And I'm pretty sure most people, if you know anything about Abus Magomedov, it wasn't a good look the way he got knocked out. It looks like he got struck by lightning or something. Like he got out. So that's going to be a picture in a lot of people's heads. But coming off a dominant win in the UFC, it's tough to judge what he really has, at this level. And obviously Sean Strickland been around the top of the division for a while. He's got fights against Alex Pereira, got knocked out. Fights against Jared Cannonier, split decision loss. That was just back in December of 2022. And we just saw Jared Cannonier put it on Marvin Vettori in dominant fashion. Wins over Jack Hermanson, Uriah Hall, Christoph Jocko, Brendan Allen, which ages pretty well. But yeah, I mean, you know what you're going to get from him. He's going to stand in front of you, and he's going to kickbox with you. And he had to mix in the kicks a lot more against Imavov because apparently the judges didn't like that he wasn't doing that against Jared Cannonier. But for the most part, I mean, he's just a tough dude. Like it's nothing crazy as far as the skills go, but he's just going to go and wear you down. Like he can go forever. He's going to be there in the late rounds. He can take most people's punches as long as they're not Alex Pereira left hooks. He's fairly durable, but he can get caught and he will play with fire. So Abus Magomedov, pretty explosive. I mean, I would assume if Abus wins, he wins inside the distance. I don't think he's going to be as strong as Sean Strickland in those later rounds. So I don't know, maybe a live betting opportunity for Sean Strickland if he can make it past the first round or two. But even at this price, like you're getting him near a pick 'em against a guy who has one fight in the UFC. Like it's kind of tough to deny that. But at the same time, Magomedov, you don't bet against Magomedovs. Like you just don't. So yeah, this is a tough one to be honest, because there's of the unknowns. But what are you thinking?
Yeah, it is tough because it feels like really cut and dry on which side you should pick and what's going to happen. I mean, you know exactly what we're getting from Sean Strickland. It's the same style. It's the same game plan nearly every time he steps into the octagon. He's fought all the top guys. He's lost to Cannonier and Pereira. But, I mean, the one thing that's throwing me off on breaking down this fight is if you look at Magomedov's record, and he's only lost once, I guess, in the last 7 years. But I'm looking at a guy he fought who was 0-0 making his MMA debut just a couple of fights ago. And it's a boxer who was transitioning or just taking an MMA fight. But his boxing record was 40-59. So like he's fought some absolute cans, even up until, fairly recently. What he did against Dustin Stoltzfus, he looked phenomenal. He looked strong and explosive. But at the end of the day, it's Dustin Stoltzfus. So hard to get a read on him at this level. I mean, you're making a big jump. You're going from the PFL. You're fighting guys making their MMA debut who are actually boxers. You're getting a submission in the first round over that guy. And then you're going to go and jump from Stoltzfus to Sean Strickland. Like that's a massive, massive gap. So I'm interested to see what happens when this fight does hit round 3 or round 4. And, Sean Strickland's been doing good work to the body. and been kind of touching him up for a few rounds, or at least eating his shots and giving some back. I think that could be frustrating to Magomedov. And the longer this fight goes, the more Sean Strickland should become favored. So that being said, man, I'm going to stick with Sean Strickland. We know what he's got. He's fought at a high level for a while now. And Abus Magomedov, there's still some unanswered questions about what's he going to look like against legit UFC fighters. So I can't lay a bet on a guy that we just don't know what he's going to look like yet at this level. So for that reason, I'm sticking with Sean Strickland for my prediction. I think he does have a good chance to get it done. I mean, he's looked good. He's not going to be out of shape. He's going to be there for 5 rounds. And he's tough as nails, too. Outside of the Alex knockout, the guy's got a pretty good chin. So, yeah, give me Sean Strickland here. I think he does pull it off.
Yeah, just looking at the opponents that Magomedov's gone against, like, he's got a win over Sadabusi, who that win ages pretty well, but Sadabusi is now a welterweight. You just saw him a couple days ago get that nasty spinning wheel kick to the head in the PFL. So I mean, just looking at that one, like that's probably his best win. And just coming in here against Sean Strickland, who he's seen pretty much everything, I would assume. I mean, he's always training too. It's like, it's not really like he takes too much time off. He's always in the gym getting the sparring rounds in. And yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I think you have to go with Sean Strickland just because of the unknowns. You know what you're getting. Like if you're taking a bet on Magomedov, I get it's plus money, and he could go out there and just starch Sean Strickland, kind of like Pereira did. Like it was generally the same kind of odds against Alex Pereira in this fight. Everyone was like, okay, he should just take him down because that's the easiest way to go about it. But I mean, he can't really probably not going to take down Abus Magomedov, and he's a little bit more well-rounded. But there's so many unknowns, and if it was like plus 200 for Magomedov, I'd be more willing to take it. But I mean, at plus 135, it's like there's not too much to really bite off the bone there. And if it keeps moving, closer to a pick 'em, it's going to look better for Sean Strickland to me. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Sean Strickland and just hope that he doesn't get clipped in the first couple of rounds. And if he does make it past the first round or two, maybe look at those live odds and see if he could take over.
Yeah. And you know what this really reminds me of is it kind of reminds me of Sean Strickland's last fight against Nasruddin Imavov. I mean, you got another guy who's 6'3", who's fast, who is really explosive. And Sean Strickland was able to just put it on him in the later rounds, especially. And he was able to hang with him on the feet early and, eventually just took over the fight. And I could see the exact same thing happening here. I'm thinking about playing this with a decent size play on Sean Strickland money line if the line keeps closing, and just hedge out with a round 1 or round 2 KO for Magomedov, because I don't think if it goes past 2, I don't think he's going to finish Strickland. So.
Yeah, what's crazy is Imavov, a Dagestani that moved to France, and Magomedov, a Dagestani that moved to Germany. So
yeah,
there you go. Little similarities there.